Non è il link però, un nuovo streaming perché non lo riuscivo a fare.
Cioè c'è un nuovo link?
Sì, è un nuovo.
Ah,
È già live. Non riuscivo a metterlo.
quindi ora... Ok.
È diverso. Se vanno sul sito dell'ambasciata c'è. Vedi? Te lo dico se vuoi.
Ce l'ho, ce l'ho.
Dai, va bene. Mi dispiace. Non riuscivo a farlo, metterlo perché era già impostato.
Dov'è Teresa?
Good evening and welcome you all to this event called Women in Business, Opportunities and Challenges in Czechia. And this is so many tonight, and I leave the floor to Ambassador Nora City for the opening.
Dear Apostolic Nuncio, dear colleagues and ambassadors, dear Honorable Laila, dear President Mangi, dear participants, my warmest welcome to the event Women in Business, Opportunities and Challenges in Czechia. This initiative is part of a broader effort to promote economic diplomacy, one of the pillars of Italy's foreign policy, which aims to foster our country's growth abroad. My ministry strongly supports the internationalization of the Italian business system, which involves, among other things, helping companies to expand into emerging markets, strengthening their position in traditional ones, and promoting Italian investments abroad. Italy is the sixth largest trading partner of the world, both as customer and supplier. An important Italian business community is very active here, with approximately 3,000 companies of various sizes, many of which are members of the Italian Czech Chamber of Commerce, which organized this event with us. The Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, has underlined in various occasions the need to revitalize Europe and achieve lasting peace and development. Also referred to the need of a greater participation of women in the business world. Furthermore, the final communique of the G7 summit held in Puglia last June under the Italian presidency reaffirmed the commitment to gender equality and the will to unlock at least $20 billion in investments over the next 10 years to boost women's empowerment. The communique also emphasized the importance of ensuring equal and meaningful participation of women in decision-making processes. The event of tonight is an opportunity to have a first reflection around these topics, to discuss both the opportunities and challenges that Italian women entrepreneurs, or would-be entrepreneurs, may encounter in the Czech context. This is why Italian and Czech women entrepreneurs meet easily to share their professional experiences and best practices. Before the round table, we will hear a keynote speech by Martina Dlabajova, member of the European Parliament for 10 years. Martina is a brilliant Czech businesswoman and an international consultant, but most of all, she's a big friend of Italy, having studied at the University of Padua and lived in Italy for many years. Through her cooperation with the Italian Czech Chamber of Commerce, Martina Dlabajova has also supported the development of trade between our two countries. Furthermore, we will have the opportunity to watch a video message from Lena Golfo, President of the Marisa Belisario Foundation. Her life is characterized by a strong commitment in women's empowerment, especially in the private sector. Inspired by the figure of Marisa Belisario, a prominent manager of Providetti, she created the Marisa Belisario Prize in 1989, which became a key point of reference for women in business. A round table with 3 speakers will follow, discussing the opportunities and challenges that women may face in Czech context. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish a nice and productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your remarks, and I just now leave the floor to Danilo Mandi, President of
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to be here today at this important meeting focused on women in business. First, let me introduce our organization. The Italian-Czech Chamber fosters economic and business relations between Italy and the Czech Republic, enhancing cross-border trade, investment, and cooperation in various sectors. With a network of 400 members, the Chamber offers a range of services, networking projects, events, and trade missions to facilitate business connections in both countries. Our mission has traditionally focused on supporting Italian companies in the Czech market, but we believe that now is the time for the Czech companies to explore opportunities in Italy as well. The commercial cooperation between Italy and the Czech Republic is now worth over 18 billion euros per year, with figures doubling over the past 10 years. Compared to the early 2000s, the landscape has changed dramatically. I'm convinced that in this historical moment, where many industrial dynamics are being redefined on a global scale, the partnership between Italy and the Czech Republic can unlock the greatest mutual opportunity of the last 30 years in a strategic sense, provided that we initiate joint shared paths in strategic and innovative sectors, where Italian and Czech companies can contribute with their expertise. We are talking about advanced industry sectors and innovation. We must create a stronger environment for startups. It is a fundamental engine for innovation and economic growth, providing flexible and novel solutions to complex challenges and enhancing the competitiveness of traditional sectors. The Czech Republic can and must play an important role in Europe within these dynamics, but it needs courage and ambition. We, entrepreneurs, need the country to have a clear long-term vision. In this way, we can secure the strategic investments that are needed. Women, in all of this, can make a significant contribution. Studies show that greater gender diversity in business not only enriches company culture, but also drives better decision-making, innovation, and profitability. In Italy, women own approximately 22% of businesses, especially in sectors like retail, hospitality, and healthcare. Women remain underrepresented in leadership roles. CEOs are 24%, and senior managers are 34%. In the Czech Republic, we see a similar picture. Although 30% of the Czech businesses are owned by women, they hold only around 15 to 20% of leadership positions. The good news is that the number is constantly growing, and women are making significant strides, but we have to support this process. We need to address the barriers to leadership and promote the development of inclusive workplaces. Today, I'm excited to hear from our panelists who will share their personal journeys, challenges, and strategies for success. My hope is today's discussion will inspire ideas and insights for international collaboration, shared projects, and delegation missions between our two countries. I would like to thank the Embassy of Italy, His Excellency Ambassador Mauro Marsilli, Councillor Laura Caligaro for organizing this important meeting today. And thank you all for the participation. Thank you.
Thank you, President Mandi, for this introduction, and I now leave the floor to Mr.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Laura. Well, Your Excellencies, dear President, ladies and gentlemen, I see more ladies, and I'm happy for that. Thanks very much for this evening. Thanks to the Embassy of Italy and the Italian Czech Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event. And I just would like to give a round of applause to His Excellency Mauro Marsilli and President of Italian Czech Chamber of Commerce, Daniel Longhi, because they are two people who are doing so much for Czech and Italian businesses in this world. Please, round of applause. Thank you for what you are doing, not only for women, but I know that it's changing after tonight. Laura, a special thanks to you, because this was a really great idea. Thank you for that, and I just hope that this is the first one in a row of meetings we will organize together. So this is just the kickoff. So gentlemen, be ready. We'll have like triple women, so we need it. I was thinking about tonight's speech, and it was not easy because there are so many informations I would love to give you. I would love to give you after 20 years in business, after 10 years in European Parliament. I think there is a lot I could share with you. But I was thinking about the values and about the vision I had, and I have, and I think I share with most of you. Freedom, independence, and the power to shape the world with my own hands. These were the forces that drove me into the business exactly 30 years ago, when I was 18 years old, Czech student in Italian university, so you can imagine how difficult it was. And these same forces drove me into politics 10 years ago. And yes, after 2 mandates in the European Parliament, these same forces have now drove me away from politics and are pulling me back into the business, probably. And I believe that many of you feel the same, because what we are truly looking for goes beyond the surface of profits and business growth. It's not just about financial gain, it's something deeper. Women in business aren't just looking for a place to work. We are trying to find a space where we can live, create, and build something long-lasting, vision, as you exactly said. We look for more than just a seat at the table. We want to change the conversation. We want to inspire those around us and open doors for others. And now imagine the numbers. You heard some of them, and I think we will hear more of them today. Did you know that in Czech Republic, only 1/3 of all entrepreneurs are women? And it's pretty the same in Italy and in Europe. And according to recent data from Czech media, 15% of women said they faced prejudice just for being women when starting their businesses. And I don't tell the stories because I heard a lot of them, different stories. 15% of women. Let's look at some more data and statistics, which are never enough. I will use numbers from your chambers, which is the Association of Chambers of Commerce from all Europe, representing them in Brussels. They are the voice, eyes, and ears of chambers in business community in Brussels. I really appreciate they focused in their surveys not only on the entrepreneurs in general, but specifically on the women in business. They were interested in how women entrepreneurs were responding to challenges Europe was going through at the time, such as the pandemic crisis, the Russian war in Ukraine, and the resulting energy price crisis, while also taking into account issues that are more specific to women-led businesses. And what are the main results? The survey showed that women entrepreneurs not only are resilient in facing challenges, they also bring a long-term vision and are really quick to adapt to changes. The conclusions were saying that women entrepreneurs need more support from public institutions and the creation of target initiatives to support them across Europe. I can't agree more. When I look back at my time in the European Parliament, I can say with a clear and calm mind that women entrepreneurship or women in business, if you want, really is one of the topics EU institutions actively focus on. Both the European Parliament and the European Commission, we have here a great representative of the European Commission, Mrs. Vaharova, take women's entrepreneurship very seriously. There are numbers of platforms dedicated to support women in business, giving them advice and connect them one with the other. I led personally the intergroup of small and medium-sized enterprises in the European Parliament for many years, and the topic of women's entrepreneurship was one of the most important and frequently discussed issue. Whenever we organized anything on the topic, we had a full room. So you can imagine it's difficult sometimes to have full room in the European Parliament. So it was really a crucial topic. One of the most interesting aspects I remember we discussed came from a research study done 2 years ago by the European Investment Bank, which by the way is very good for all kind of surveys and studies on female entrepreneurship. The research showed that women-led companies are more likely to have effective management practices in place and are more open to launch new products and innovative ideas. They also perform better in areas like environmental responsibility, social impact, and governance standards, such as transparency and ethical leadership, creating even more positive outcomes because they invest more in training their teams. And by the way, this is sure, women tend to employ more women, so they create more women employment. By the way, when we are speaking about European Parliament, another major topic there is the representation of women in EU institutions in general. And I will be very quick here because this is not the topic of tonight, but I think one thing is connected to the other. So when we look closer at the European Parliament, we see that the percentage of female members of the European Parliament has increased compared, of course, to the early days of European integration. You would bet on it. From 1952 until the first elections in 1979, only 31 women served as members. In the first directly elected European Parliament in 79, women made up only 15% of the representation. In June 2024, during the most recent European Parliament elections, the share of women elected as members of the Parliament was 38.5%. Unfortunately, this is a slight decrease, as just before the elections it was 39.8%. It's not only me who is missing, but it's a slight decrease. However, what's even more positive is that the representation of women in European Parliament remains above the world average for national parliaments and above the EU average for national parliaments. And as well as you all know, since January 2022, the European Parliament has even been led by women, but this is the same for the European Commission. Seeing women in this top EU position might somehow make it look like things are moving in the right direction, but in reality, both in politics and in business, women and their perspectives are still not sufficiently represented. So what can we do about it? Are the quotas the right solution? And ladies, I count quite a lot on you on the discussion in the panel, because I guess we will hear a lot about the quotas today. But it would not be me if I would not say my opinion. And I must be very honest in the question of quotas. I fully share the view of Viviane Reding, who was the former European Commissioner for Justice, Fundamental Rights and Citizenship, who once said, "I don't like quotas, but I like what quotas can do." It says it all. Well, and I was thinking for tonight, and I'm going to the conclusion. This is the point, I think. What the quota can do and what the other instruments can do. All of us here today, we are that quota. We are that quota when we employ more women. We are that quota when we give more responsibilities and management to women. via that quota, then we use our female intuition in tough business situations. Via that quota, while celebrating achievements and contributions of women in the business world. Via that quota, meeting here today as Czech and Italian and European businesswomen. By the way, I often ask myself, am I Italian businesswoman or a Czech businesswoman? I started my first two companies when I was 18 in the same moment in Italy and Czech Republic, because I couldn't start Italian company without having Czech company. It was impossible at that time. So, historically, I am both. But the truth is that I'm a European businesswoman. I feel like that. We aren't defined by a single nation or language. We are united by a common vision and values that cross borders. Each of us brings unique background, culture and perspective, and business behavior. And it's this European diversity that makes us stronger. Being a European businesswoman means having incredible advantage of a network that stretches across the countries, and you can see this network here. A network where we can inspire each other, share our experiences, and offer encouragement in face of any change. And that, I believe, is the real power of women in business across Europe. So this, I believe, is the real quota. Let's use it. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Martina, for your inspiring words. And now we pass to a video message by the president of Marisa Belisario Foundation, Maria Rolfo. Foundation Marisa Belisario is an historical foundation in Italy that Martina has to explain, developed rights for women, and especially in the private sector. Please.
Grazie di cuore dell'invito. Purtroppo una missione a Shanghai non mi ha consentito di essere lì con voi, ma ci tenevo molto a farvi pervenire un mio breve saluto. L'evento di questa sera, organizzato dall'ambasciata italiana a Praga, prende spunto anche dai segnali positivi che si registrano in Italia. Per esempio, l'occupazione femminile, prima di tutto, che ha toccato il record storico del 52,2% e poi l'ascesa della leadership femminile. Il primo Presidente del Consiglio della storia della Repubblica e tanti altri ruoli per la prima volta ricoperti da donne nel nostro Paese. Penso alla prima ragioniera generale dello Stato, alle prime donne al vertice della Corte Costituzionale e della Corte di Cassazione. Grazie poi alla legge sulle quote, che ho portato all'approvazione 12 anni fa, le donne nel CDA sono passate dal 6% al 43% di oggi. E orgogliosamente voglio ricordare che siamo quinti al mondo e terzi in Europa per presenza di donne nel CDA. Oggi nelle aziende si è fatta strada la consapevolezza di quanto il contributo femminile sia fondamentale. È stata una vera rivoluzione che dal mondo economico si è estesa a quello politico e alla società civile. Le donne italiane sono sempre più consapevoli del loro potenziale e decise a superare i divari ancora esistenti, decise ad esserci e contare nei luoghi in cui si decide la politica. Il primo governo guidato da una donna sta poi lavorando tanto bene per proseguire sul cammino della parità di genere. Abbiamo introdotto la certificazione di genere per le aziende con l'obiettivo di certificare 800 aziende. Ebbene, siamo già a 5.000 e l'obiettivo era per il 2026. I fondi del PNR hanno tra le priorità quello di risolvere i gap ancora esistenti usando meccanismi che incentivano inclusione e partecipazione femminile. Ma dal mio osservatorio privilegiato credo che il progresso più importante sia quello di tipo culturale. Oggi siamo consapevoli che che la parità di genere non è più solo un tema di democrazia o di equità, ma è una questione di crescita, PIL e welfare, che non riguarda solo le donne, ma riguarda tutta la società. Oggi il pareggio del bilancio di genere è la priorità assoluta. La strada da fare è ancora tanta, ne siamo consapevoli, sul fronte dell'occupazione prima di tutto, dove il divario tra donne e uomini rimane del 19,5%, mentre in Francia è al 5,5%. Dobbiamo dare alle donne italiane la libertà di scelta tra lavoro, carriera e famiglia. Sappiamo che nei paesi in cui le donne lavorano di più, il tasso di natalità è più alto. Un paese che non ha figli è un paese più povero, meno innovativo e che non sarà in grado di garantire né una vecchiaia dignitosa né uno standard minimo di welfare. Per questo la parità deve essere messa in cima all'agenda della politica, delle istituzioni, ma anche delle strategie delle imprese. Serve un patto che coinvolga tutti, nessuno escluso. Abbiamo davanti sfide epocali, penso alla transizione digitale e ambientale, sfide che possono rappresentare enormi opportunità per il futuro del Paese. Accolgo quindi con grande piacere questa iniziativa dell'ambasciata italiana a Praga, volta a riflettere sulle opportunità e le sfide legate al contributo femminile dell'economia. E il prossimo anno, in primavera, avrò il piacere di conoscere di persona a Praga insieme a una delegazione di donne attive in diversi ambiti imprenditoriali della Fondazione Belisario. Grazie e buon lavoro.
Just a few seconds, we start our panel discussion. We are very happy to have three brilliant speakers tonight for our roundtable. A session of question and answer will follow, if you're interested. And I thought about the right quote to start this session of our event. And I thought this one by Virginia Woolf. Life for both sexes, and I look at them shouldering their way along the pavement, is arduous, difficult, and a perpetual struggle. It calls for gigantic courage and strength. More than anything, perhaps, creatures of illusion that we are, it calls for confidence in oneself. So I would like to thank the Italian Czech Chamber of Commerce and his president, Danilo Mandi, whose cooperation was crucial to realize an event like this, since it is a privileged observer in looking at the dynamics of the Czech month. I then follow with a presentation of our speakers. We start with Teresa. Teresa Richtarikova holds a law degree from Charles University and has been the director of the legal department at Vodafone since 2019. Prior to this, she gained extensive experience working at UPC for 9 years, where she led the legal, regulatory, and human rights department. She is actively involved in the Czech Chamber of Commerce, serving as vice president of the Committee for Independent ICT, Industry, and chairwoman of the IT and Telecommunications section. She is also the head of the IT and Innovation section of the Union of the In-House Lawyers. She has a robust skill set that includes copyright law, consumer law, competition law, contract negotiation, and much more. Her presentation will highlight the vision and the initiatives implemented by the Czech Chamber of Commerce concerning women in business. Thank you.
Okay. So, good evening. You've heard a lot about me in the last 5 minutes. Let me introduce myself one more time. My name is Teresa Rychpeříková, and I'm working in Vodafone as a head of legal. And in the same time, I'm a member of thank you, board of Czech Chamber of Commerce. When we discussed with Jana Hverdová, who is Vice President of Czech Chamber of Commerce, and who you may know as a President of Fitness Chamber in the Czech Republic, what shall we focus on today's presentation? What Czech Chamber of Commerce is doing for women. We wanted to highlight the topics we are working on in the moment. Jana is very active in women for business in Czech Chamber of Commerce, and as she became a vice president of Czech Chamber of Commerce 1 year ago, she is the leader of this topic in Czech Chamber of Commerce. I am in the same moment I'm working for Vodafone, and Vodafone, as you may know, is one of the leaders in diversity and inclusion in the Czech labor market. So I have also experience from this kind of company. So together we came with this program, Women for Business in Czech Chamber of Commerce. And again, Czech Chamber of Commerce, one more time, there are more than 16,000 entrepreneurs and companies who are members or that are members of Czech Chamber of Commerce. From this amount of companies and entrepreneurs, only, as you've heard, around 30% of women are now working on their own projects, in their own businesses. So this is something we want to support, and also we would like to support Czech labor market with the power of women. Perfect. So we don't bring something new, something bright, but we would like to support women and the gender equality in Czech market, and we would like to offer help for Czech and of course other than Czech women who would like to start their own business. Czech Chamber of Commerce is the only official point in the Czech legislation process in the business-wise. So it means all the legislation that go through the legislation process must be commented, or at least somehow go through the Czech Chamber of Commerce and through the sections in our other bodies in the Czech Chamber of Commerce. So we have opportunities to comment legislation and let's say bring the women and women questions and women agenda in this legislation. So this is our, let's say, goal and something we would like to focus on. We also create a lot of partnerships. One of them, you see the picture of our president, Zdeněk Zajíček, and there was a memorandum of understanding, so signed this year with Mrs. Lenka Šťastná, and this memorandum should create and prepare the market and let's say create platform for better understanding of women's problems during let's say creating their own businesses. Czech Chamber of Commerce focus on two activities in the women's, let's say, area. One of them is women in tech. This is something we see, and in my section, let's say, there is me and I'm the only woman in the section. So this is what we would like to focus on. It's not only telco, but also other, let's say, technology areas that we would like to offer women to help them with their businesses and to, let's say, get them together somehow to present them what are the opportunities in technology and their and connecting to their businesses. So I would like to, let's say, in next 5 years, I would like to see more women in technology business. We are discussing on many platforms how to help women from the, let's say, high school education to starting their own businesses, how to help them, how to push them to be more visible and be in the technology business. The second area that Czech Chamber of Commerce is focusing on is Women for Health. You know, Jana Hrdová, she is an ambassador of health for women and health for the Czech Republic. She also created the program Aktivní Česko, and she is a messenger of the let's say good shape we should be in. She also focuses on women for health activities. So this is something we also are very active in. All the cooperations with partners, organizations like Movember Movement, Pink October, etc., etc. So Czech Chamber of Commerce would like to focus on this. And I don't want to thank you now. I would like to maybe talk a little bit about my experience in Vodafone. Which is, as I said, one of the leaders in diversity and inclusion on the Czech market. And we were talking about quotas, and we were talking about number of women in the top management of the companies. In Vodafone now there are 50% of women in the top, let's say, in the board. And it's a trend that Vodafone is, let's say, focusing on. I don't think it's necessarily the numbers we have to fulfill, but we see that women are more and more getting to the positions that they would like to be in. I feel that in the past, or I felt in the past, that there are positions that we should not go for. But I don't see it when I work in Vodafone. I don't see it. It's something that is my feeling, and it matters. It's something. If you work in a corporation, that sometimes corporations talk about some topics, and the truth is somewhere else. But I have to admit that working in Vodafone, from the perspective of a woman who had or has a child, a small child, and being working still during having or giving birth. Vodafone helped me a lot in this, let's say, voyage, because there are programs for women, how to educate them, how to support them to get the positions they want, and how to mentor other women, and how to present the women leadership for other women. So when I see and feel what's going on in Vodafone, I feel that it's not a dream or something that I cannot work on, that it's doable, that I can manage to go for it, and I can get the position I would like to have. So, if you work for a corporation, or if you are working for yourself in a small business, please support women. When they see other women helping them, I think this is something that will support them and help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Chikuya. And I give the floor, I will briefly introduce now Valentina Stranieri. Valentina graduated from Bocconi University with a master's degree in general management, and later added another master's degree in corporate and investment banking. She has been working with Unicredit Group since 2006, taking on roles of increasing responsibility across various cities in Italy. Since 2023, she has been the head of People and Culture and a member of the management board of Unicredit Bank Czech Republic and Slovakia. She's also part of the Comic Executive Board, and based on her extensive experience at Unicredit, Valentina will illustrate the measures implemented by Unicredit in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much again, Laura, and good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and exchange our views. So, if you allow me, I would start with framing the diversity, equity, and inclusion concept within Unicredit culture, where it represents really a key part of our strategy and one of the most important tools we use to empower our people and build our professional relationship. It is important to say that, of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion is not only about gender balance or gender diversity. We are talking about a wider framework where we include cultural diversity, ethnic diversity, but also a number of concepts like the one of guaranteeing equal pay for equal job, not only in terms of gender, but also in terms of comparing people that are basically developing the same job and the same activities. And to make this happen, because we found out that building such an environment is definitely contributing to our competitiveness and to our long-term success, we will also comment on some of the tools we leverage on in order to increase also the possibility for our people to feel not only appreciated, evaluated across their career path, but also to feel supported in their personal and professional needs. I'm referring to well-being instruments, to flexible tools, to work-life integration more and more across our fund. So, being a very active company in terms of diversity and inclusion, I would like just to mention a couple of our key achievements in recent times. I will just mention two because these are the ones we are particularly proud of. First of all, I will start from the Global Edge certification. That is an achievement we reached during last years, and for Czech Republic and Slovakia, we received the certification at the end of 2023. It's a very important one, and we are the first pan-European bank winning the certification on a global level. And then the only one I would mention, just not to go through all of them, is the Europe's Diversity Leader for 2025, based on Financial Times appraisal. It's the fourth year in a row we are achieving this result, and we are absolutely proud of this. Then you will see a number of other very familiar labels like the top employer that we are working on across our geographies. So before starting sharing with you what we consider to be the key elements of our strategy to support women in their professional path, I would like to make a step back and mention some other statistics and some other results from global evidences, because we think it is very important also to look outside what is happening to UniCredit and to make some comparison. And here we try to list the most significant barriers that women tend to face while approaching a professional life. I will start from a very common one, the gender stereotypes. There is an interesting research, but we will find many of them. We approached one from Frontiers in Psychology, clearly saying that when it comes to describing leadership styles, if people talk about male leadership, then the most recurrent adjectives connected to male leadership are, dominant, confident, self-confident, transmitting a certain type of mood. Then when we move about describing female leadership, we find this completely different range of words like kind, helpful, sensitive, And we do believe that this can make a difference also in the possibility for a woman to feel that an opportunity is really achievable, is really at hand. Then we will also mention some other barriers that come from another very interesting statistics from KPMG. And they have made a survey on 750 high performers, female executives. And it came out that at least 3/4 of them were experiencing in some moment in their life the imposter syndrome, no? And probably many of us went through it at a certain point, and this is having an impact on self-confidence again, on self-doubt, on the pressure that sometimes you are also self-generating yourself while facing a new promotion and appointment, comparing with other colleagues, etc. Then I will move to some other barriers that are much more approaching the personal dimension of a women's life. We are talking, for example, about caregiving. Caregiving can mean you're taking care of a small kid, but also some older parents or any other family member that can need support. Actually, and not surprisingly, we found out, of course, that majority of women report taking on their own the most important part of the job that is conducted in this dimension, while a very small part of them, like 6% of women, based on this research, believe that their male partner is doing more in managing these balances. No? This for sure has an impact in terms of available time, energy, confidence in taking further responsibility. And I would close with another quite common topic that here we mentioned as motherhood penalty, because of course it depends, countries are different, and also the length of maternity leave can be very different, but of course this has an impact in the career development of a woman, and this is something that we have to deal with. So I wanted to share this view with you because we thought it was very important to grow our offer and our strategy in terms of support to women across their career path, starting of what real life is really putting on table, no? In terms of challenges and opportunities. And I would like to share this slide with you, where we try to make some clusters about the main tools we are using and promoting in our company. I will start from the parenthood, of course. So, being parents, and I'm not only referring to women in this case, of course, brings some changes in your life, you gain new competencies, you also experience completely different priority in your daily activities. But then, most often, women, of course, experience a certain time where they leave the company. In Czech Republic, I understood average time can be even close to 3 years, pretty different from Italy. Still a very impactful time in order to, manage what will be the next step in terms of career. So we consider very useful from this point of view the possibility to keep an active connection with the parents. This means it doesn't really matter when the colleague is supposed to join and to come back to her activity, but then we try to keep an active link throughout the period of the leave, organizing dedicated events when, for example, the return is approaching, keeping in touch through dedicated people that are managing the contacts and providing the most significant updates for our colleagues. And once the colleague is back from maternity leave, guaranteeing a number of facilities supporting what can be the incredible number of emergencies and unpredictable situations following having a small kid. We have dedicated rooms that we call the work and play rooms for our colleagues, where in case of a specific situation, the kid can stay, spend some time with their mom or dad, and there is desk for working, but there are also game and a small TV and something that can support spending some time there. Then there are also the possibility to, how can I say, to access some onboarding when it comes to beginning new job or coming back to your previous job. Maybe in the meantime, operating system changes, procedure changes, colleague, manager are changing. And on this topic, another important initiative we decided to promote is the managerial awareness. That means also supporting managers when it comes to welcoming back a colleague that is completing the parental leave. Because we thought it is also very important to leverage on the right support, on the right wording, on the right approach in general. This was giving us a very meaningful result because we reached a very good return ratio after parental leave. We are periodically and constantly comparing with the Czech Banking Association and with other networks that we are joining, and we understood that this ratio is improving for sure thanks to this action. Then I would also like to mention, of course, a number of development initiatives like the mentoring, the coaching that are dedicated to female colleagues in the development of their career path, and also in defining a bit succession planning, what they feel can really be their next career step. I was also mentioning well-being. This is open to all our population, it's not only for women colleagues. Still, we found out that a huge number of female colleagues are benefiting and appreciating a number of features we are adding to our well-being framework, like, the yoga lessons at our premises, webinars on specific topics about the health, both physical health and mental health, the access to psychological support when it's needed, and particularly important is also the possibility to access flexible working conditions. Working from home for some days during the week, having some also time flexibility. We have a very good number of part-time workers. We understood this is making the difference when it comes to building the structure of your day, for moms and also for dads. I was mentioning the network. We are active part of a number of networks like Vigeni here in the Czech Republic that are promoting connection among not only executives but also a number of active managers and workers in the financial field. We are benefiting year by the growth of this network, and we are seeing also colleagues appreciating it, exchanging views, creating their own spontaneous connection, and we think this is the real value added to overcome those famous barriers I was mentioning. Because for sure, having comparison with each other, we can find very often that the situations tend to be very similar, and there are also similar ways how to approach them. So I will not spend more time on the EDGE certification because I was already mentioning it, and then of course based on the countries, we are now talking about Czech Republic, but also in Italy and throughout our geographies, we are promoting a number of initiatives also in terms of education. For example, in Italy we found it very useful the promotion of financial education for women, also to teach them how to take care of their savings without giving for granted this has to be delegated to some male family member. No? This was also an important barrier we needed to overcome at a certain point. I will stop here and I will simply leave you with a snapshot of our network here in Czech Republic and Slovakia. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina, and I now introduce Laura Catarrasa, who has a degree in International Relations and in Languages for Intercultural Communication. She has been active in Prague for almost 8 years and will discuss possible strategies for supporting women's return to the workplace after being on maternity leave. She will also provide some views about corporate legislation.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here, thanks to the talent, scouting, and high competence of Dottoressa Calligauro. And it's really an honor. My name is Laura Catarrasa, and I hold a master's degree in politics and international relations, and also in languages for intercultural communication, and myself a high advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Today, my agenda will try to focus on what kind of will merge with what both previously Teresa and Valentina mentioned. I try to identify among all the policies that at corporate level can be suggested, but not only, also at private level indeed, especially the maternity in the women's career and the so-called reintegration. So the first part indeed, we try to have an overview and then somehow to identify the best practices among the policies between Italy and the Czech Republic and the perspective of maybe Italian women indeed based in Prague. And the second part, among some quoted among the previous speakers indeed, because some of the attempt to identify what are the best strategies that can be implemented at the workplace. So ideally at corporate level, it's somehow with a different sort of implementation, but indeed also at the entrepreneurial level, it should be shifted as point of attention. And then finally, as we spoke as the main aim of this event and the continuity as the other speakers indeed quoted, the aim is to somehow empower women in the entrepreneurs, being entrepreneurs, especially in Prague, so the local context is obviously important, through the diversification and support networks. So there are institutions that they can provide it, but also, and as demonstrated, it's not only the top-down, but the bottom-up strategies that we can actually identify. So as the first part, the maternity leave, the first main overview and main differences between Italy and the Czech Republic. So as in Italy in general, women represent a significant part of the workforce, but the challenges do persist in balancing work and family due to both the limited workplace support and the social expectation. In the Czech Republic, we do have a high employment rates in general that reflects on the women, and we do have a stronger emphasis on balancing family and work life, but the long maternity leave does impact the career progression. So the aim of today is basically to go and recognize the pros and cons between the two systems. In general, in Italy, that's where we first first different starts. Because in Italy, there's a fixed policy. We only have what we are entitled if we are in Italy. It's 5 months. Normally, 2 are before the birth and 3 after. By Social Security is financially higher covered. That's the 80% that the state ensures. Against the Czech Republic, which is lower as financial support, but longer already. Just in the first part, that's a main difference that not every Italian or expat knows maybe. So that's the first part. If you do fall into special criteria, then there is the parental support. That's a second part. So maternity leave followed by parental leave, that's not super clear if you first approach it. But then after these 28 weeks that is quoted in the slide, then there is the up to the 3 years of the child. And sorry for any mispronunciation, should be Ronitsovsky, Prisparek. There you go. And so that is that's basically, you're also entitled to that, but not necessarily from the company. That's a different set of criteria. The main differences are on the duration, as we just said, the financial coverage. In the first part, Italy covers more, but then in a capped amount, then in a longer leave, actually Czech Republic does offer a good financial support. But then we obviously have the impact on careers. Italian women in a shorter period tend to organize to return to work earlier. They do have a family support network, which is not present for Italian women in Prague for obvious reasons, because we do fall into the expat definitions, and so that at the end, the more impacted maybe are even the Czech women, because allowing a woman to stay for a long time home, not providing, not thinking about the reintegration, which is the part following, could be actually slowing down and not pushing the women to the career. The post-maternity leave strategies. At corporate level, indeed, the previous speakers, Teresa and Valentina, both mentioned part of these, but generally speaking, what's called a mentoring system or a buddy system. So basically, putting a woman next to another woman that would show empathy and that would show reintegration support does make an impact and does make a difference. They both actually quoted. So the clear benefit is to build confidence and provide both emotional and professional support. They also quoted flexible schedule and the phased return options. It's been demonstrated that shifting from full-time to maternity leave, parental potential leave, then to part-time to reintegrate into work does give the tools to the woman to actually balance her life between family and work, and it does improve productivity, because a woman with reduced hours would push herself. And some studies actually show that a woman on part-time almost produces as a woman on full-time. It doesn't even matter the reduced hours. So that's for the company, or even for a small startup, indeed, that's the main point. That does boost the productivity and supports the balance. And then also quoted mental health and well-being support tools. They should not be benefits, but should be actually tools that everybody could access. And once those tools are actually available to women and they are normalized in the access or indeed shared as experience, then they really become super powerful. Because indeed the power of tactical empathy and the power of indeed the support network does make a difference. Indeed, that would bring to the real life example and to the basically the inspiration that brings inspiration. So if there is this community built around women with the identification of supporting policies and the common interests that we should have, either as married as women or as mothers and so on, then that's definitely going to inspire more adoption, more implementation. And so finally, going to the entrepreneurship from the corporate, because that's somehow they do overlap. I am an existing example that myself, I did come to Prague for a corporate job, and then I settled down, and I also discovered the freelancing job, borderline with indeed potentially founding small companies and so on. The context in Prague is highly stimulating for entrepreneurship. I do believe that that's at least my own impression, but generally speaking, based on the policies and based on the benefits that sometimes are hidden, such as being on that parental leave we called it. I didn't know when I was on that leave, but that would be somehow connected to founding something like potentially working on your Zipno without paying taxes, for example. That's somehow related, so there are benefits that could be discovered, and indeed the use of local and international support networks. It could come from the Czech territory, from the Italian presence in the Czech territory, and generally speaking, international could be actually taken into account. Does enhance visibility and fosters collaboration, this kind of building continuity. As mentioned, the aim would be the continuity indeed through workshops and other meetings and community initiatives. Indeed, never take for granted these kind of events, as for example from the idea and possibility to actually start doing this in the Czech Republic, not only in Italy, that brings us here and brings the audience together and so on. So I already learned by listening to the others and potentially to your from your questions and so on. But that's when actually the showcase stories and the inspiration can definitely generate new insights and maybe new inputs and become clear benefits for all of us, even. And I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before our conclusion remarks by the European Commission, we have a short session of questions and answers. I can start with mine. Addressed to Valentina. In your experience, did you ever face any of the barriers you mentioned in the presentation? Just made. And if so, how did you handle it? I hope it's not.
Thank you, Laura, for the question. Well, actually, yes. I could list probably several, but I will stop to one. I can recall a nice situation where I was working in Napoli. I was the head of HR for the southern region of UniCredit, and I think my appointment was very recent. It was like 1 month from my appointment. I was 35. And all of a sudden an inspection came, external inspectors that don't need to advise you that they are coming. So I was in another meeting, I was told by my colleagues that this inspector needed to meet the head of HR. So I was running downstairs, welcoming them, and with them, of course, waiting. There were 2 of my male colleagues from my HR team. So I was coming, smiling, saying, hello, I am Valentina, I'm the head of HR, you were waiting for me. They were like looking at me. They were all male and quite older than me at that stage. So they looked at me saying nothing, absolutely nothing. Then they moved aside to my colleagues, to my male colleagues, asking, is she really the head of HR? Well, no way. And when my male colleagues, being probably more reliable than me at that stage, were confirming, then they finally trusted me and yeah. So, how I handled it with a smile. With a smile.
I was just sad because we spoke about it. I was just sad to this volunteerness impression because we, as women ambassadors, we are often, when we come to the event with our husbands will greet, hello, Mr. Ambassador. And we are supposed to talk. So, never ending.
There is a very nice quote from Vitale Montalcini that in some conference, I don't know in which part of the world, was welcomed like, are you with your husband? And she replied, I am my husband. company chooses you, appoints you, so in the end you feel a bit more confident. Thank you.
Any questions? There, our intern will bring you the mic.
Thank you very much for your speeches. As it seems they were all very complimentary because you touched upon various difficulties that women can face in the workplace. Although I would like us to dive deeper into one of the aspects that you touched base on, Mrs. Stradier, at the beginning, which is that of intersectionality. Obviously, injustice and inequality is not only systematic, but it's also systemic, which means that one injustice or inequality leads to another, and they reinforce each other. And so we've given figures about women in the workplace, but I think it would have been even more interesting to have figures about women in the workplace from various sexual orientation, for example, various ethnic background, various genders within the spectrum. And so I would like you to speak to that and how can we ensure that the empowerment of women in the workplace is collective and not selective. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I hope it works, yeah? Well, you touched a very key point, in my opinion. So, as I was saying at the very beginning, this is also, how can I say, a wider framework. It's not only about mixing male and female colleagues in the right way. It's not only about having quota, no, as we were mentioning. I think the true difference and the true value stays in creating an environment where everybody feels safe expressing not only who he or she is, but also some specific abilities, some specific personal characteristics. We are doing a lot in order to support invisible disabilities, for example. And you're right when you say only numbers can say the truth, no, after a while. So what we do, and this is why I was mentioning EDGE as one of the achievements that we were most proud of, no? What we do is monitoring constantly the trend of these figures, representation of women at all managerial levels across the company, in the two countries where we are, you know, I'm speaking for Czech Republic and Slovakia at this stage, and checking that the trend is the positive one, no? And EDGE certification was giving us some more ground to see that we are working in the right direction. There are 3 levels of certification. We achieved the first one. Now, with my dear colleagues, one of them is sitting here, and I thank Petra. We are working in also in order to improve this positioning. No? We don't want to stay on the basic level of this certification. We want to do more, and to achieve that more, lots of numbers need to say we are working in the right direction. No? So it's a very mixed action we are trying to implement and to execute month by month with this approach.
I would like to comment it, maybe your comment. As a lawyer, I've been asked, actually in Vodafone, because Vodafone is seeking the numbers, but there is a, let's say, legal situation, because as an employer, you cannot, by the check, you cannot ask your employees what are their sexuality, what are their other ethnicity and others. So it's not an easy situation how to get these numbers as a Czech company. So of course, voluntarily in an anonymous survey, of course you can ask, but on the other hand, being an employer and asking your employees what is your sexuality, is not, let's say, safe for the employer. So it's there are 2 sides of this issue.
If I may add just one thing, one of the, how can I say, the tools that some external advisors are using is going directly to the employees and asking for their perceptions, no? So do you perceive your company is really consistent in, I don't know, managing the pay progression, the salary, the development career, etc.? And in this way, we are also, collecting some more evidences supporting this important point.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eva, and actually I'm representing here three worlds. One world is corporate, large corporate. I'm lead of important area that is connecting with corporate design. The second, I'm the vice president of Czech Moravian Association of Women Entrepreneurs and Managers. And we are part of the worldwide association, which contains, actually that it contains 8 continents. By the way, Italian representation is very strong in our chain. And the third world, I'm a business coach, senior business coach and mentor. So a couple of years ago, on the ground of European community, we had very interesting discussion. What is the main problem of women? Why they are not going ahead so quick? Yes. I would like to ask you, so I think that statistically we found what it could be the problem, or probably some reason. I would like to ask some of you, ladies, doesn't matter, we will take it. So what do you think so? What is really the main problem? When women quite often they make step back and not are going forward so quickly as men.
That's a philosophical question. Thank you. Thank you for the very interesting question. It's not an easy or straightforward answer, maybe, right? But I was recently listening to a podcast that maybe represents how I feel toward this answer. From TED conference, right? Basically, this woman speaker was saying women tend to think of the seat at the table, the famous board table, as something you should be thankful for, while it should be something as the man you are such as equally as the man eligible for. Like we tend to maybe have, and I do that, as we mentioned, some of the auto bias. I do that, I already did that. The constant challenge is to overcome that. It's not only external, I think it's also a matter of approach. Combination. Obviously, the factors as we are describing with the numbers in the society and so on, so far, like, indeed it's not about the quota, we said everything, but it's also, I think, just to add maybe something, it's also maybe a matter of the own personal approach. So once maybe there is the unlocking that kind of potential within the woman, so to just feel the same self-confidence, the adjectives Valentina was listing for the men are obviously can be listed for the women as well, but it's not the first thing you think of. She said, I'm just quoting by heart, kind or helpful, right? So that's indeed the approach that maybe we reflect also to maybe just have one of those seats in board management or in general to progress in the career. So it's a big challenge and like never stop learning, but a little bit never stop kind of adjusting to this. And it's, again, to say the obvious, this kind of events make us reflect maybe and there are good opportunities to just maybe go toward the different results.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time for all the questions. After this front table, we will leave Eva Oreva, the hard task actually of drawing conclusions. Eva is a successful diplomat currently serving as the Deputy Head of Mission of the European Commission representation in the Czech Republic since 2000. She managed the political section of the EU delegation in Turkey, covered Syria policy, and led led the public diplomacy section of the EU delegation in the US, following her work on the EU public diplomacy inquiry.
Good evening. So Lara already kind of unveiled that I'm a little bit of an imposter in this room because I'm a public diplomacy person, I'm a political reporting person, I'm not really economy or a business lady. But profiting from the knowledge and the hands-on experience of the esteemed panel, let me tie in a little bit to the European dimension which touched upon Mrs. Dalbayova, the alumni of the European Parliament. And let me use 3 key words: Ukraine, equality, and rule of law. Today, we are commemorating 1,000 days of the Russian full-scale attack on Ukraine. The war actually started in 2014 with the attack, occupation, and annexation of Crimea. It was also an attack on the European security architecture, on the European security order. And without security, we will not have dignity, prosperity, businesses. We will have some maybe war economy, war business, but we will have very little dignity and safety for our professional and private lives. Equality. Europe is a good address for women, and we have data for that. We have the European Institute for Gender Equality, and if you need to maybe build up your case when you do have personal experiences, I also invite you to use the data to illustrate and underpin the story you would like to say. The rule of law. To do a good business in Europe, we need a good rule of law. So there is a functioning single market, there is prosperity, there is competitiveness. For the incoming European Commission, you might have already seen that the President-elect and current President, Ursula von der Leyen, committed to unveil in the first 100 days, which would be hopefully early 2025, a so-called Clean Industrial Deal. And she also wants to look into the single market and probably by June 2025 introduce a new single market strategy. And she's also very much listening to you, maybe corporate, maybe small businesses, who you are calling for simplification and less reporting. And there is a very strong push inside the system, inside the European Commission, where colleagues, as we speak, maybe not now tonight, but in these days, they are really working very hard on looking into where and what they could issue in the upcoming omnibus law. So a very big piece, chunk of legislation on simplifying and making the European businesses and business environment more competitive. My wish for my posting in the Czech Republic, which is a bit unusual because it is in my home country, is that we all Europeans become more European also politically, not just geographically. And that's the work of the public diplomacy, but also on really actively shaping Europe and European Union. On the public diplomacy, I very much like to thank you, Mr. Ambassador of Italy, because we are host tonight, because we need to do that hand in hand with our member states. And I'm very happy always when I see the member states flag, the Czech flag, the host country, and the European flag. But we need to do more. It's not enough to have these flags on our car plates. We need to have these flags somehow a little bit more in our hearts. And we need to shape Europe the way we want to have it. And that's also a work for the Chambers of Commerce, also the national ones, like the Czech-Italian one, again, our co-host tonight. Because we need to be much more active in shaping this European legislation, which has direct effect to the national legislation. So Europe is us, Europe is not somewhere in Brussels, and let's shape it together, the member states, the businesses, the politicians, and thank you very much for all that work on the very macro level, be it in the European Parliament, be it on the political diplomatic level, but also on that very much hands-on work in the individual companies. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
So now the fun part will follow, which is going to be the networking among you. So please exchange ideas, names, twofold because the idea of this event is to create a platform in order to connect all women, Czech and Italian women in Prague, and to continue discussing about possibilities of business. Before that, I would like to thank again Ambassador Massini to host this event, President Mandi, Martina Dlabayeva for her introduction, all the panelists, and I would like to thank also, of course, the staff of the embassy who